All right, we are going to get started here. We've got a full agenda. Thank you all for coming. We love it when people come to our meetings. You fill up the room. We've got a lot to celebrate this morning, so thank you all for being here. This is a meeting of the Hamilton County Board of County Commissioners. It's November 6, 2025. We start our meetings with silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance, so please join us in silent prayer. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's do introductions from the dais.
Christy Rischel, Assistant Clerk.
Leslie Hervey, Clerk to the Board.
Stephanie Summerall Dumas, Commissioner.
Hamilton County Commissioner Alicia Reese.
Jeff Aludo, County Administrator.
Patrick Dressing, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney.
I'm County Commissioner Denise Driehaus. I'm going to make a motion that we approve of the minutes of the previous session.
Second.
Commissioner Driehaus.
Yes?
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, we've got some proclamations today. This is the fun part of the meeting, so glad you all are here on time because we're going to start out with these. The first one is a proclamation recognizing Jack Bayline for 50 years of service to Hamilton County with the Developmental Disability Services. And I'm going to kick this one over to Commissioner Reese.
Yes. This proclamation is recognizing Jack Bayline on 50 years of service with the Hamilton County Developmental Disability Services. Whereas in 2025, Jack Bayline is celebrating 50 years of dedicated service with the Hamilton County Developmental Disabilities Services.
And whereas Jack began his distinguished career in 1975 as a habilitation specialist in the day program at the agency's Northside Adult Center and went on to serve as the Franks and Kidd Adult Centers, where he supported individuals in living meaningful and fulfilling lives. And whereas Jack later worked with the agency's supported employment team, using creativity and compassion to help people with disabilities find and maintain employment in their communities. And whereas in 2003, Jack became a service and support administrator and has since served more than 400, my bad, 400 people with developmental disabilities in Hamilton County with dedication, advocacy, and respect.
And whereas Jack has exemplified the mission and vision of Hamilton County Developmental Disability Services throughout his career, making a lasting difference in the lives of those he serves and the colleagues he works alongside. And whereas as the longest serving employee in the history of HCDDS, having worked under every superintendent since the agency's founding, Jack Bayline stands as a model of service, compassion, and unwavering commitment to the people of Hamilton County. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Hamilton County Board of Commissioners, on behalf of its residents and the entire community, recognize and commend Jack Bayline for his 50 years of outstanding service and his lifelong dedication to supporting individuals with developmental disabilities.
Be it further proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Hamilton County, Ohio, does hereby proclaim November 6, 2025 as Jack Bayline Day in all of Hamilton County. So you can step up here. We're going to each say something.
Go
right around there to the microphone there. And we're going to say something first, and then we'll hear from you.
Okay.
I do want to acknowledge that Jack's wife is here, Patty, and they have been married as long as he has been here. She said yes once he got the job. He got the job, and she said yes. We could do it. But I do want to thank you for all of your service, because you were with developmental disabilities when it was had a stigma on it. It wasn't People weren't catching on. It was in the shadows. It wasn't in the forefront like with our board. And today we're actually getting ready to break ground on a disability housing with LAD, smart homes. So we've come a long way. We got a long way to go. But I just want to thank you because you stuck with us. You stuck it out. You've helped so many people, people with disabilities, and we just really want to thank you for your service. So I'll turn it back over to
Yeah,
President.
thank
Treehouse.
you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your years of service. I found out before the meeting that Jack and his wife are West Siders, so now I feel akin to you. There you go. But we really, really are grateful. It takes really inspired people to work for 50 years in an organization that are helping people with disabilities. As Commissioner Reese said, it wasn't always easy to help people recognize the importance of this work and the dignity that is provided through the work. And you evidently got that a long time ago and have been walking the walk. So thank you so much for what you've done on behalf of Hamilton County.
Thank you.
Commissioner Dumas.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your work. You are the voice for the voiceless, and I can't even imagine the impact that you've had in the lives. We say 400 individuals, but I know it's even more than that. So thank you for all your advocacy. Thank you so much.
And would you like to say something?
Probably not, but I will. Again, I really appreciated that you start your meeting with prayer. I'm so thankful. I am a Christ follower, and he's quoted this saying, "For the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve." And I'm thankful that I've had the opportunity to serve each day, and thank you for the opportunity that you've given me to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to come around, take a picture.
It's kind of connected. Yeah. I can take that out. How's that?
All right, I'm gonna go first. 1, 2.
Thank you.
All right, our next recognition is Operation Greenlight. So this is an initiative of the National Association of Counties. It is a countrywide initiative where we light up green to recognize the service of veterans in our community. So Glenn Welling is here. He is the director of the Veteran Services Commission. And so we're going to read through this proclamation and then have you come forward if you don't mind. So I'm going to start. Whereas the residents of Hamilton County have great respect, admiration, and the utmost gratitude for all of the men and women who have selflessly served our country and this community in the armed forces.
And whereas the contributions and sacrifices of those who served in the armed forces have been vital in maintaining the freedom and way of life enjoyed by our citizens. And whereas Hamilton County seeks to honor and recognize individuals who have made countless sacrifices for freedom by placing themselves in harm's way for the good of all, and Hamilton County appreciates said sacrifices of our United States military personnel. And whereas veterans continue to serve our community in the American Legion, Veterans of Foreign Wars, religious groups, civil service, and by functioning as county veteran service officers in 29 states to help fellow former service members access more than $52 billion in federal health, disability, and compensation benefits each year.
Whereas approximately 200,000 service members transition to civilian communities annually, and an estimated 20% increase of service members will transition to civilian life in the near future. And whereas studies indicate that 44 to 72% of service members experience high levels of stress during transition from military to civilian life, and therefore these individuals are at a high risk for suicide during their first year after military service. Whereas the National Association of Counties encourages all counties, parishes, boroughs to recognize Operation Greenlight for veterans.
And now therefore be it proclaimed that the Hamilton County encourages its citizens to participate in the patriotic tradition of recognizing the importance of honoring all those who have made immeasurable sacrifices to preserve freedom by displaying green lights in their place of business or residence from November 4th through 11th, 2025. And be it further proclaimed that the Board of Commissioners of Hamilton County does hereby recognize the invaluable contributions of all its veterans to the community and does hereby proclaim November 4th through November 11th as Operation Greenlight Week in all of Hamilton County.
Yes.
Well, Commissioners, thank you so much. For anyone like myself who have served in the military, they know that green light means you are go for the mission. And so off we go. And what that means for us at the Veterans Service Commission, with the tremendous support that we get from the Board of County Commissioners, is moving to the next level of support for all of the 37,000 plus veterans that we have here in Hamilton County and their family members, and all of those things you talked about, the stress associated with transitioning from the military. I experienced that myself, and we are here to serve them. We talk about our thriving veteran community. And one of my goals is to make Hamilton County the #1 destination in the entire United States for transitioning military members, because we have all of the attributes to welcome them and allow them to be successful throughout their lives. So I want to thank you all so much, and what an honor to be here to accept this proclamation on behalf of all of the veterans who reside in our community. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, as always, for representing Glenn. We really appreciate you being here. We're very, very grateful for the service of those that serve this country, that live in our community. And so thank you for coming to represent.
Thank you.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Thank you so much for being here, representing our veterans. I come from a family of veterans. I've said that before. I don't even like wearing green, but I decided I will wear green today for our veterans. So
I went with red, white, and blue.
okay, that'll work. Yeah, but thank you and all the others that are making it a better place for our veterans. And I've said also before, I want to live where there is not one homeless veteran on the street, and that's what I'm working toward, and I know our board is also. So thank you.
Commissioner Reese.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for being here. And you're a Navy man, and my grandfather, so I thank you for sharing some of those stories that he shared with me when I was little. But I want to thank you for the day that we have now, the Hamilton County Appreciation Day. And I did run into a veteran who had told me that they were on the verge of suicide. And they came to our first Veterans Appreciation event. They were homeless. They were about to give up. And that gentleman came back to the second year to thank you and to thank us, and said because of that, he now has a place to live. He has a job. He was connected. He had been disconnected, and now he feels connected with the Veteran Services. So these things are real, and we really appreciate your leadership. And as we go into Veterans Day, I always say we want to thank you for your service, but then it's time for us to provide the service back to the men and women who served our country. So thank you so much.
We're going to come around and get a photo.
I will. Thank you.
This is great. Get the flags in the background. Thank you. Thank you very much.
right, our final proclamation. This is why I'm wearing purple. We've got all the shades up here today. This is a proclamation in recognition of Epilepsy Awareness Month. We've got a number of folks here. I'm going to introduce a couple and then let you introduce the rest. So Kathy Schrag is here. She's the executive director, and Mark Finley is the assistant director. So we are going to read the proclamation, and then if you would come forward and say a few words, we'd be grateful for that. So again, this is a recognition of Epilepsy Awareness Month, whereas epilepsy is defined as a neurological disorder that causes reoccurring unprovoked seizures in individuals, and where the word epilepsy simply means seizure disorders, and whereas since 1969, the Epilepsy Foundation has recognized November as National Epilepsy Awareness Month, and the call to action, All In for National Epilepsy Awareness Month, demonstrates the importance of showing up to support and raise awareness for epilepsy. And whereas the United States Congress formally recognized National Epilepsy Awareness Month in 2003, with the Epilepsy Foundation leading efforts to raise awareness of this incurable disease.
And whereas educating the public, promoting an understanding of epilepsy, and encouraging support for individuals living with epilepsy can directly increase knowledge that empowers communities to provide better care, offer assistance during seizures, and create a more inclusive and compassionate environment. And whereas approximately 3.4 million people live with epilepsy that's a little hard for me to say, but in the United States, and of those individuals, about 456,000 are children. And whereas there are approximately 32,206 Hamilton County residents that are living with epilepsy.
Whereas one of the most common ways that someone can develop epilepsy is due to brain trauma or injury, TBI. And whereas it is extremely important to practice brain safety, such as wearing seatbelts and helmets and following concussion protocols. And whereas Epilepsy Alliance Ohio has been serving the Hamilton County community for 72 years by providing free services and programs, including advocacy, counseling, support groups, art therapy, seizure recognition and response training, college scholarships, and a kids camp for children living with epilepsy.
Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Hamilton County, Ohio does hereby recognize the invaluable contributions of the Epilepsy Alliance Ohio to the community, and does hereby proclaim November 2025 as Epilepsy Awareness Month in all of Hamilton County. Please come forward. Who I don't know who is going to speak, but please come forward and introduce yourselves and your team, if you would. Yeah. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm Kathy Schrag. I'm the Executive Director with Epilepsy Alliance Ohio, and we are so grateful that the Hamilton County Commissioners has dedicated November to being Epilepsy Awareness Month. 1 in 26 people will be diagnosed as having epilepsy at some point in their life, and 1 in 10 people will experience a seizure during their lifetime. So the importance of seizure recognition response is important for all of us, because at any time we could come across somebody who has a seizure, and it's so important to know what to do to be able to help the person. This is just another way of helping raise awareness, and we appreciate the opportunity that you all are providing.
Thank you, and thank you for being here. Will you introduce your team?
Sure. So let me come this way. So this is Mark Finley. He is the assistant director. And we have Allison Roan, who is our director of community education. Doug Simmons is our director of advocacy. Patty Chado is our director of counseling. Priscilla our database manager, but she's kind of a jack of all trades. And then Sarah Visser is our accountant.
Okay, thank you. We're going to take a photo in 1 second, but I want to give my colleagues an opportunity to say something. And so thank you again. I mean, this is all about, as you say, raising awareness. I don't have that much familiarity with epilepsy, to be honest with you, but thank you for providing this information so that we can all learn about this and then respond in kind when we encounter epilepsy in the community. So thank you so much for being here. Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Thank you so much for all the work that you do. I just want to piggyback on what you were saying, education and prevention and support is so important. So thank you for your work in the community.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. Education is the key. I remember one of my twin nieces when they were 3, and she had a seizure and wasn't sure what to do, and my sister and brother-in-law got training, but she didn't have epilepsy, but she did have that seizure, and was able to get with an organization like yours to be trained on what to do if it were to occur again. And her twin sister, she ran and got her little doctor kit. I thought it was the cutest thing. So she was listening when they were saying what should be done, and she thought she was ready to go. But also Jackie Taggart Board in my office, when we were doing the signing off on the proclamation, she mentioned that her niece, Nikita, who is a grown up now, she had 6 episodes with epilepsy and seizures. So it's important work that you all are doing. So thank you so much.
Thank you. We're going to come on around.
I like that green one. Oh yeah, big group. It looks good. Right here. Thank you so much. My sister got it.
Do you want to give him the clicker, or do you want to take the clicker?
There's a news.
Yeah, signed up. All right. Thank you all for being here. You're welcome to stay, but you don't have to. So, with all due respect to the administrator, who is next on the agenda, with the deference of my colleagues, I'm going to move up to public comment so folks can do that portion of the agenda, and then we'll move on to the administrator's recommendation, which I think is going to take a minute. So we're going to do these public comments first. So we've got Daryl Yater and Amy Wells here to speak about the piggyback. Welcome again.
Welcome. Thank you. This is our 3rd time being here, and we came back this week because we've been talking about the impact of the piggyback tax credit and the appreciation we have for not just the fact that you didn't move that forward, but the comments that you made about the root cause of why there is a problem and the necessary steps needed to take to fix it was really important for us. We also wanted to be here to show our appreciation to you for having the courage to make that decision and to remind you that that decision was not financial, but as a school system, I'm the superintendent of Northwest, Amy is the CFO treasurer, we wanted to provide you a token of our appreciation so that this framed student artwork will be a constant reminder of what you did to not just make a financial decision, but a decision that truly impacts and protects children. So we just wanted to be here today to say thank you and show our gratitude.
Thank you so much.
May we approach and
Yes, please. Yes, please. We don't often get people coming in to thank us. We're thrilled to have you come anytime. We're going to call you one of our groupies. How about that? Thank you so much. Yeah, I think we should. I think we should show them. These are really great. Oh yeah, cute. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. That's wonderful. Thank the students, will you? These are really great. All right. We have two speakers here from Lighthouse Youth Services. I'm going to call Paul Hafner up first. Got the pleasure of the floor for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'm Paul Hafner, President and CEO currently of Lighthouse Youth and Family Services. What a fun meeting to be present. This is incredible. The proclamation.
Well, we're getting to Jeff here in a
wonderful.
minute, so.
Yeah.
It'll be a downer once he
Yeah,
sings. But
and
anyway,
thank you
so
to
far, so
the
good.
administrator for yielding some time for us. Again, Paul Hafner, I have the distinct pleasure of leading Lighthouse for the last 9 years. And it's not front page news, but I did decide to retire at the end of this year. So we did a full national search over the summer months and selected a new CEO. And so when I was talking to some friends about a way to get this new CEO in front of people, we thought coming down to a county commission meeting and taking up a little bit of time at public comment would make a lot of sense. So I'm going to be here through the end of the year. I'm going to be helping my friend George, who you'll meet in just a minute, throughout the entire month of December. He's coming to us from Fort Wayne, Indiana, and is doing the drive back and forth today. So I would just like you all to get a minute to hear from George, and I will yield. Thanks very much
That's
for all
great.
your support over the last 9 years.
Sure thing. Thank you. This is George Guy. Welcome.
Thank you, Paul, and Madam President, Madam Commissioners, and the staff, and everyone in attendance today. As Paul said, I'm driving back and forth once a week until I start in December, just to kind of familiarize myself with the community. And obviously, thank you for the work. Thank you for the assistance and what you're doing on behalf of driving the mission. I'm just looking forward to getting started here and help continue to drive the mission of the Lighthouse.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lighthouse is a great partner to the county, and we'll be getting to the JFS items soon enough on the agenda, and you all have been a great partner to us, so thank you for what you do for the young people in this community.
Great. Thank you.
Any comments?
Thank you.
Yeah.
No comment. Welcome.
Yeah,
And it
well-
was news to me. I mean, I did read it, and it was top of my mind who we were getting in, because I've met you once before, and so welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just say also welcome. We've got some challenging times ahead, so we look forward to working with you. There was one thing that I had learned on one of your groundbreaking developments, and I would like to see, because I think young people seeing their history of people that come from their communities and neighborhoods, how did Lighthouse begin? And one of the people was Miss White. And there were 3 women that got the Lighthouse going. And I'd like to see, if you don't already have, you might already have, I had mentioned it, there needs to be a placard with that information, because these were 3 women in the church.
Yes, ma'am.
One goes to New Hope, and they came from the church, and they were the ones that stood up and testified and went to the courts and all those things to get Lighthouse. Now, when we have the programs, we talk about it, but I just think as I look around, there needs to be something, with these women that would be a permanent fixture. So I don't know, you may already have done
Well,
that.
this is
but
good
that was-
timing. God works in mysterious ways. Commissioner
Yes, he
Reese, thank you
does.
for the opportunity. Debbie White Richardson just retired as our board chair and passed the gavel, but her focus the last month was to make sure we got the wording, we approved it, we sourced a couple vendors, and we selected one, so we will have that plaque in our front lobby in the next, I think, few weeks, and you'll be invited to come up and witness that, if that's okay.
Oh, good, because that was something I had learned, and I've been knowing.
Baptist Women's Fellowship. is
Yes, the
name.
Baptist Women's Fellowship, and like you said, God works in mysterious ways. And in those times, for them to, I mean, it's not like times like now where you have 3 women on the county commission. We didn't have that back in those days. And for these women, it shows that ordinary people can do things that are extraordinary and keep going. And her mother, Mrs. White, now I know Mrs. White from from church, she's at New Hope, but I knew her from Old Southern Restaurant, and she was the one that I would eat her soul food. So my mother and dad would take me there every Sunday. My mother would say, "There's something about your soul food. My daughter would only eat your soul food." And she continued making cornbread dressing for me every Thanksgiving until she died. She wasn't even in the restaurant anymore, but I told her, I have to get your cornbread dressing only. But then to learn more about, so I'm looking at her as restaurant owner, woman of the church, cornbread dresser. I had no idea. And I've always had been going and supporting Lighthouse, whether I was at city council or the state house or now. And even I didn't know the story. And so I was so fascinated. I said, man, we have to have a story of these church women who stood up, wasn't elected to anything, and said, we're going to help our youth. And now we got Lighthouse. So I'm glad to know that you're going to be doing that.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming in. All right, we are going to move into the 2026 Administrator's Recommended Budget Presentation. Jeff Aludo, here we go.
Thanks. I'm thrilled with the intro that you gave me earlier.
I tried to not say anything negative.
Gloom and
So here
doom
we are.
introduction.
If people hadn't left by now, they're gonna leave. Yes.
Some people have stayed.
Look, they're slipping out now.
No. Staff is here, right? Everybody else has left. That's fine. Yeah, I get it.
All right. Well, thank you, Commissioners. I'm pleased to be able to present the board with a recommended budget for 2026. As we begin the discussion here this morning, I do want to thank the board for its policy guidance and direction throughout the year and in the creation of this recommended budget. I also want to thank all of the department heads, elected officials of the county who provided input into this process, and of course, the budget office, Rob Wagner and John Brugan, and all the staff of the budget office for their assistance in developing this recommended plan. Before I get started, I do want to make one qualification that I make annually at this time, and that is for anyone who may be watching at home. The presentation that you are about to see is the administration's recommended budget. It is a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners at this point. It is not the final budget. So if you see something in this presentation that you don't like, this is not something that the board has authorized or approved yet. It is only a recommendation. It's my fault at this point. It's not the board's.
It's a significant disclaimer, Jeff Aludo.
Yes, thank
there
you.
we go.
So as we'll discuss later, the board likely won't vote on this budget until mid-December. And by that time, if history is a guide, it will look different from what you see today. So getting into the budget. So let's see if. Yeah, would you mind? It looks like the battery might be out here. Yeah, if you could hit the slide. So, Commissioners, approving the budget, as you know, is one of the most important substantive actions the Board of Commissioners takes every year. By law, the county must pass a budget every year. That budget must be balanced, and it must fund the various mandated functions of county government. Christy? The budget process actually begins very early on in the year. Actually begins way back in March as we start doing planning work for the subsequent year. We have the tax budget. We have departmental requests which start coming in June and July. The tax budget, which the board approves in July. The budget office then reviews the budget. The admin rec typically comes out in the early fall, right as we're doing today. There will then be budget hearings, which we've scheduled for the 2nd and 9th of December, with board approval in mid-December. And this year, as the board is aware, we actually did 2 budget forums with all departments in the county. We did one in May, we did one in September. So this is a long process that's culminating in a recommendation to the board today. Oh, I just did it myself, Christy, so something must be working now. So, Commissioners, the totality of the dollars budgeted for Hamilton County in 2026 is projected at $1.375 billion. That's what we call the all funds budget. It includes everything that the county does, including the general fund, all the levy funds, restricted funds, many grant funds. There are over 80 separate funds in the county, all of which comprise the all funds budget. It includes things like social services, job and family services, public assistance, child support, workforce development, all of the levies, family service, the senior services, mental health, indigent care, family services and treatment, children's services, DDS, which we just heard about a little bit earlier, the zoo, our law enforcement technology levy, public infrastructure like the engineer, all the work the engineer does clearing roads during the winter, inspecting and repairing bridges, stormwater and fire hydrant maintenance, all of our stadium parking operations, so all the Paycor renovations that we discussed earlier this year, the Black Music Walk of Fame, all included in this, the Emergency Management Agency, all of our, we've got numerous judicial special funds, environmental funds, tourism funds, the convention center renovation. All of that is in what we call the all funds budget. And the budget that you've received, commissioners, has information on all of that. We will ultimately legislate later on this year a resolution that will include legislation for all of those. Today, however, our conversation is going to focus primarily on the county's general fund, which is the primary operating fund of the county. During the course of the budget process, to the degree that there are questions about the all funds budget or different funds of the county, we obviously can discuss those, as they often do interact with each other. The general fund does not exist in isolation. There are also some strategic challenges with certain restricted funds that could have the potential to implicate the general fund. So we'll identify those challenges, call them out where they exist, and identify a strategy for addressing them. Again, however, the general fund is the primary operating fund of the county, singularly the most important fund as it relates to the financial health and sustainability of the county. So it's the one we're going to be focusing on primarily today. The general fund, commissioners, is the recommended general fund budget is balanced. For those watching at home, when we talk about a balanced budget, that means that we have anticipated revenues that will be available to cover anticipated expenditures. We can go further by calling this particular budget structurally balanced, in that we project ongoing revenues to be sufficient to cover ongoing expenditures. In other words, we're not borrowing from reserves or otherwise using one-time resources to fund on what we anticipate being ongoing expenditures of the county. So again, if you're watching at home, this would be equivalent to saying that you're getting by on your paycheck. You're not having to draw from your savings account in order to make ends meet every month. The budget's balanced and recommended at $402.4 million. This is an increase of $12.7 million from 2025, up just over 3%. A few notes about some of the themes that we are seeing. First is that, and these are not new to the commissioners, but number one is that revenue growth is flattening. Inflation, wages, and importantly, community service demands continue to rise. This will be our last year of pandemic relief funding, so that those dollars will be expiring. And we have a highly uncertain environment at the state and federal level. We'll talk more about that in the section on risks later on in this presentation, but I would just for the moment comment that more than ever, I think we are seeing the potential for state and federal action to substantively impact county finances. I won't sugarcoat it, commissioners. This was a difficult budget to balance, and I want to thank the Budget Office and all the departments and agencies for their cooperation through the process. And again, thank the Board of Commissioners for your guidance during the process as we went through the different budget forums. Your messaging of the situation that we are in, I think, was very important in terms of getting the broader county to understand the situation that we are in. Departmental requests totaled roughly 60 million more than available resources. And as we examined these requests, for the most part, they were not extravagant requests, but statements of what departments truly believe they need in order to meet growing service demands of the county. Unfortunately, we just don't have the revenues to accommodate those requests, and as such had to reduce them significantly, and in addition to recommending some additional strategies to ensure we can credibly deem this budget balanced. A bit about the balancing approach. You see the slide references target budget. In the past, commissioners, we've typically balanced budgets by taking a more granular look at each department budget and coding specific reductions into the system. Given the size of this year's gap, we did do some of that, but we took a more macro approach and established target budgets for each department basically telling the department, here is the number, you hit the number, leaving it to the department to figure out, for the most part, how to get there. Those targets were set using historical budgets, adding board-approved wage adjustments, and accounting for various items that we know we have to fund and that it would be would not be prudent not to fund in the budget. So this is a higher level approach, but there are some positives to it. It relies upon the expertise of the individual department and the agency heads to determine how to prioritize their spending, especially when you're talking about independently elected offices in many cases. Those elected officials have priorities, they have plans. While we were reducing their requests, we felt this was a good trade-off in terms of providing them the ability to prioritize where those dollars would be spent. I want to talk a bit about the county's revenues. As indicated, we project that we will generate approximately $402 million in general fund revenues in 2026. As shown here, in 2026, we continue the trend of becoming a more sales tax dependent organization. It's not good or bad, it's just reality. That means more than ever, the rate of inflation or deflation is going to drive the financial trajectory of the county. We are diverse in our revenue sources. We have property taxes, inside millage, service fees, intergovernmental revenues, real estate fees, interest earnings, et cetera. But most of these are not increasing substantively. And more than ever, sales tax is the dominant revenue stream. So our ability to grow and invest substantively is going to be dependent on the performance of the broader economy and sales tax. Interest earnings are unique, and I want to hit on those again as I did last year. They're shown here at $19.8 million. As with last year, we are projecting that interest earnings will in fact come in substantively higher than this. I think some of the commissioners may have been at an investment advisory committee meeting yesterday, so you saw the latest interest projections from the treasurer. However, we don't count the totality of what we believe is going to come in interest earnings toward the operating budget. If we did do that, if every year we based the operating budget on what we thought in a relatively high interest rate environment, if we based on what we thought we were going to see in interest earnings, and those interest earnings then fall, as we are starting to see them do now, we would be locking ourselves into an expenditure level, hiring staff, making project commitments, et cetera, on an income level that we just can't afford once those interest levels drop. So instead, we recommend using those projected dollars for one-time purposes. We recommended that for 2025, and the same would hold true again this year. We'll be doing a reconciliation of those numbers of the interest earnings as we close out this year and as we move into early 2025. If you're watching this as a resident and a taxpayer, your main question is likely at this point, where does my money go? So the vast majority of the county's budget, as you can see on this slide, is public safety related. Roughly 40% of the budget goes directly to public safety. When you include the judicial components of county operations, that number jumps to roughly 3/4 of the county budgets, or the county's budget. So in terms of putting a finer point on this, most residents are not used to seeing, when they think about where their money goes, they're not used to thinking in terms of broadly public safety, judicial, general government, debt service. So in terms of where your money actually goes, just at a high level, and I won't spend a lot of time here, as I know this is, the commissioners know all this on a rote basis, but if you're watching this at home, your tax dollar in the general fund goes to operating the sheriff's office and the county jail. On a daily basis, on average, we have around 1,055 inmates in the county jail, and that requires staff, corrections officers to man that for the safety of the community. Operating the court system. In Ohio, operation of the local court system is a county responsibility. Common pleas, municipal, domestic relations, juvenile court, probate court, the clerk of courts is a county responsibility. Managing elections is a responsibility of the county. So when you voted on Tuesday, you were a direct recipient of the services made possible by the dollars directly provided in this budget. Answering 911 calls. We answer about 500,000 calls a year at our 911 center. 95% of those, I would add, we answer in under 15 seconds. So when you call 911 outside of the city of Cincinnati, you are a direct recipient of the services facilitated by this budget. If you've seen any improvements in your community, and you see it, and we've got a bunch of pictures here, you see I think a Hader hardware store sign being hung. If you see any improvements in your community, whether it's business district facade improvements, or vacant land being repurposed for new business growth, manufacturing, like what we saw with groundbreaking out in Reading earlier this year, you're seeing the results of partnerships facilitated by millions of dollars of funding allocated by the county's general fund budget. The work of the coroner's office, the crime lab, and investigations funded through the general fund. If you need a building permit out in the county, you're accessing county services. We just talked earlier about veteran services, and if you're a veteran needing relief services, you're accessing county services in Hamilton County. When you hear a siren go off, you're hearing the work of emergency management funded through the county's budget. These are all things funded through the county's general fund, the basic building blocks of a strong community, and guided by mandated direction from the Ohio Revised Code as well as board policy direction. Oops. So maintaining an adequate reserve balance is also a critical component of the county's finances. We're projecting closing the year with a roughly 15% reserve balance, which is county policy. It's slightly below the Government Finance Officers Association standard of 2 months of operating budget, but it is within county policy, and our reserve by and large looks healthy. Revenue drivers. So where we are seeing revenue growth to fund ongoing needs of the organization. This is where we start seeing some unfortunate trends. So one of the issues with our fiscal outlook is that we are seeing our organic revenues plateau. Our largest driver, sales tax, is projected to increase by approximately 2.1%, or just over $3 million. Property tax is projected to increase by approximately 2.6%. This is the county's inside millage, and as this is a non-assessment year, this is growth driven largely by the result of new construction, not valuation reassessments. On an annual basis, the state sets a reimbursement rate for public defender costs. That number can fluctuate wildly given the size of the public defender's budget. These swings can be impactful. The good news is that in 2026, we're projecting an 84% reimbursement. That's higher than we saw last year. The flip side of that coin, however, is that it is the lowest first year of a biennium reimbursement rate that we've seen in some time. And as the commissioners are well aware, this is a particular service where the county, and not just Hamilton County, all counties in Ohio have been resolute that this is entirely a state funding responsibility, and that really should be 100% obligation of the state. We are projecting higher revenues in the sheriff's office due to our new patrol contracts as well. So while we're seeing some nominal revenue growth, that growth is fairly flat or sluggish. The flip side is that we continue to see increasing expenditure pressures. I am recommending a general wage adjustment to non-bargaining employees in this budget of 3%, or $4.2 million. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. We also recognize that in 2025, for the 25 budget, we dramatically reduced the sheriff's budget based upon the projection that vacancy in the sheriff's office would continue at historical rates. During 2025, the sheriff's office has retained staff to a much greater level than in prior years, which translates to approximately $4 million. The 26 budget adjusts for that reality in the sheriff's office, as well as for wage growth in the sheriff's office as well. The Dog and Kennel Fund continues to require an increased subsidy to ensure mandated services can be maintained. The budget for the Veteran Services Commission, which is a statutory mandate, is higher, although VSC has worked with us. I think Director Welling has left, but the VSC has worked with us to reduce their budget from the amount initially requested in the summer of this year. Due to the aforementioned sluggish growth, there is one source of new revenue recommended in this budget. the county has the ability to levy up to 3 additional mills of transfer fees on property sales in the county. That's in addition to the 1 mill that's statutorily mandated as a conveyance fee. Currently, we levy 2 of those mills. I'm recommending that we initiate that final mill. The impact is a $1 per $1,000 in purchase price. So as an example, you're talking about $250 on the sale of a $250,000 home. The purpose of the fee would be twofold. Number one, I'm recommending that $3.7 million go to support the general and mandated functions of the county. And 2, I'm recommending that $1 million of the new fee go annually to support a county contribution to affordable housing efforts in the county. I don't recommend this or take this recommendation lightly. However, when we have expenditure growth, even at just the rate of inflation that exceeds organic growth in our revenues, I think we have to take a hard look at our approach. That approach is first focusing resources towards mandated and core services, reducing expenditures where we can, and only then looking at revenues. And this budget does all of that. We do have a 1/4 cent sales tax available remaining in our general fund. It is the last 1/4 cent of capacity we have, period, absent any other action from the state legislature. I'm not recommending that be part of the conversation in the budget this year, but candidly, as we continue to see revenues grow slowly, it may need to be a conversation for future boards as we assess future budgets. I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about budget trends by functional area, and this I think would be helpful to understand where budgets on a department-by-department basis are going in the county. We've talked about the fact that the recommended budget is extremely tight. If it were not, I wouldn't be recommending the aforementioned additional revenue source. But I wanted to put it in the context of the 25 budget, the 26 requests, and the 26 recommended budget. So in this graph, you can see the various functional areas of the county at a very high level: public safety, judicial, general government, and other functions. So what you see here is, number one, you see the 25 budget in blue. And for the most part, we are seeing that in 25 departments are staying within those budgets, and that's good news. But 2, most departments are seeing inflationary and service pressures, which resulted in them requesting substantively more in 26 than in 25. And that would be the neon green or the lime green line that you see in terms of the budget requests. And 3, in the end, the county is funding these departments slightly more than in 25, but not anywhere near the request level. So there are, to be sure, there are some departments that are receiving a recommended budget less than they received in 25. In most cases, those are departments where we have looked at them and seen that their projected expenditures in 25 are lower than what we had budgeted them at, so we've actually pulled them back even more. But the storyline here is that we are recommending revenues slightly higher than last year, so that those revenues are translating into modest adjustments to department budgets. I would say when you look at this on a department-by-department basis, you see a very flat trend in terms of 25 budgets to 26 recommended. In terms of the budget trends, just wanted to show the board the trend since 2023. You can see in 23 we're at 355 million. We went up to 396 million, dropped back to 390, and now we're recommending 402. So as we balance the budget, recognizing the limited resources that we had, and the pressures being faced from our mandated service areas, we focused on three themes: supporting personnel and infrastructure, stabilizing mandated services, and continuing progress on board policy initiatives. we felt it imperative to ensure that we are supporting the fundamental needs of the organization first and foremost, to ensure that our staff is compensated fairly and that capital needs are being addressed within the organization. We know very well from recent experience what it means not to do these things, and that if you ignore these fundamental needs, you are going to pay for it one way or the other. And we saw that recently. Unfortunately, there are times when you have no choice. Years ago, we were in a position where we went 5 to 6 years without compensation adjustments. We paid for that through lost staff, lost expertise out of the organization, as well as the fact that we then ultimately, to get that expertise back into the organization, had to invest in one-time substantive market adjustments later on. So ultimately, when possible, we want to try to keep up with this and not try to play catch up later. So the budget does provide a 3% wage increase to retain and reward talent. There is a slight increase to medical contributions of approximately 2.65% to sustain employee benefits. And I'm also recommending that in the first quarter of 2026, that Human Resources assesses the feasibility of an early retirement incentive program throughout the county, just to see if it makes sense in this current environment and whether that can help us reset our cost curve a little bit in terms of staff. Those are always tricky programs to navigate, because in order for one to make sense for financial reasons, you have to be willing to reduce staff and not rehire all of those individuals. And a lot of times that's very difficult for departments. So I'm not hopeful that's going to suggest a lot of savings, but I do want to suggest it as something that we look at. We also know that when we don't invest in our technology and facilities, the bill for that rises until we have tens of millions in bills that come due on repair needs for our assets and technology needs. So the budget continues to invest in capital assets, funds technology improvements in various departments, including the Recorder's Office, the Sheriff's Office, the Prosecutor, Public Defender, Planning and Development. You can see on the slide, it supports the ongoing investments in facility safety and modernization, including the Central Campus move, the Hamilton County Regional Safety Complex. It allocates $538,000 to facilities for deferred maintenance and $11.2 million for Justice Center renovations. And it commits $17.2 million in capital investments to maintain critical infrastructure and plan for future needs. The budget prioritizes funding for core public safety, judicial, and human service functions. It ensures the continuity of the courts, the prosecutor's office, public defender's office, corrections. It maintains essential social service programs supporting children, seniors, and vulnerable residents. It protects mandated election operations for the 2026 gubernatorial cycle, and it continues our ARPA programming through 2026. Where feasible, we're looking to stabilize and fund mandated services. The county, as the board is aware, is a creature of the state. As such, not every service we perform is technically created equally. There are some services that we are mandated to fund and others that are discretionary, even if still incredibly important to the county. So this budget seeks to ensure funding for those mandated services, even if it levels below, sometimes substantively below, their requests. So we'll be holding hearings over the next couple of months, over the next several weeks, over the next month, where we'll hear from some of these departments who can discuss the impact of the reductions that they've seen from their request. I've spoken with many of them. I can say that the response has been that this is going to be difficult to implement, but I think most of the departments understand the pressures that the county is under. The budget also looks to maintain a balanced budget with reserves meeting industry standards, which has been a board priority. The budget also recommends ongoing funding for affordable housing through the $1 million transfer tax allocation. It continues to fund various economic development programs at a reduced level in order to prioritize mandated services, continues to expand access to county services through programs and community-based outreach like our 513 Relief Program, and it continues to strengthen equitable access and inclusion across the county operations, facilities, and public engagement efforts. These are all incredibly important services and programs, even if not mandated by the ORC. They are part of what residents expect from a large urban county. The example I like to give here is with reentry programming. By law, by mandate, the county has to operate a justice center or a jail. But there's nothing in the ORC that dictates the degree to which we have to operate that justice center in a manner that reduces recidivism and helps people effectively re-enter this society post-incarceration. But I think most of us would argue that that's imperative, especially in a large urban county like ours. And more than that, many of these priorities are things and topics that were addressed as part of the community discussion when the sales tax was last raised in 2019. It was about improving the partnership between the county and suburban communities to ensure that we're acting as an effective partner with them for their growth and development and their public safety needs. So while we're talking about economic development programming, most of the county's economic development programs are retained in this budget, but are recommended for some level of reduction. For example, our community revitalization grant is reduced from 2.5 to 1.15 million. Site readiness is reduced from 750,000 to 375,000. Large event grants are reduced. So we did what we could in this budget to keep those board directed board policy programs. So we are still recommending over $5 million in funding for economic development, much of which was not happening prior to 2020, and an additional $1 million for affordable housing efforts in the county, which will be the first time post-ARPA that the county has identified a sustained general fund source for the funding of affordable housing. In terms of risks, so we always close on budget risks. There are numerous risks to this budget, maybe more so than in prior years. As indicated, our revenue growth is going to be heavily tied to sales tax. So to the degree sales tax grows or falls, or we experience a deflationary environment, our revenues are going to be impacted. Property taxes represent a lower percentage of our revenues, but they're still important. As we know from recent conversations, there are various state efforts that are designed to reduce or limit the possible growth in our property taxes. This may mean limiting growth of inside millage, which is likely more of a future risk than an immediate risk for 2026. But it could also mean pulling interest earnings away from levy balance or pulling interest earnings away from the general fund and putting them into the levy balances where they were generated, which I'm not criticizing from a policy perspective, only commenting that those initiatives would in fact impact our revenues. Obviously, we have the routine pressures of departmental spending and departments remaining within budget, which if 2025 is a guide, departments have been doing a very good job of this, but this will be a tougher year in 26. We have levies, which are seeing tremendous financial pressures. Worse, these same levies are those levies that support mandated services that are ultimately the responsibility of the county general fund. So there is potential impact to the general fund should costs in these levies exceed the available resources, or worse, one of these levies not be renewed. And similarly, we are seeing numerous changes at the federal level where regulatory changes to programs like Medicaid and SNAP could push new costs to counties. The big, beautiful bill that was passed in DC, for example, pushes more SNAP administrative costs to states and locals, and for the first time ever, opens the door to the possibility of states and locals paying a share of benefit costs for SNAP, some of which could ripple into the general fund if, again, levy resources are not available to absorb those costs. So in the end, commissioners, budgets are about a vision for an organization. They're also molded by their times. This budget is a product of an uncertain fiscal environment and expenditure pressures. That necessarily adds a tone of caution and hesitation to the conversation, but I do want to say that this budget continues to allow for some very significant organizational and community progress. It accomplishes much of what the board has in its vision laid out as priorities for this county. It's a balanced budget, it's fiscally prudent, it invests in the health of the organization's major pillars, the people, the infrastructure, the technology that are really the backbone of what allow the organization to produce results for the county's residents. The budget ensures that the basic foundational services of the county are effectively provided: public safety, sheriff patrols, elections, the judicial system, social services, public infrastructure. And there is still funding in this budget to ensure that the county can continue to act as a partner with surrounding local governments to assist them with their continued growth and development. So following the presentation, Commissioners, the budget is really in the hands of the board. We have 2 hearings planned, December 2nd and December 9th. And there will be opportunities in staff meeting for departments to present and the board to discuss and deliberate changes it wants to see prior to passing that budget in mid-December. So Commissioners, with that, I thank you again for your guidance during this process. Thank you for the opportunity to present the budget today. The budget is now linked to our website, so people can go on there and review it for themselves. And happy to answer any questions that I can today, and certainly to engage in the conversation over the next several weeks before we get to a passed balanced budget in mid-December.
Thank you. I do want to emphasize the very last points about public hearings and public input. So we have 2 hearings that are budget hearings, and we'll have a short presentation to outline the budget at those hearings. But there are also opportunities for people to come in if they'd like at our Thursday meetings at all times, because we have the public comment session. So if there's anybody that would like to come in and comment to the budget, the opportunities are the hearings as was outlined, but also the Friday meetings, and tune in to the Tuesday meetings where we'll have staff meetings about what's going on in the different departments throughout the county, and offer an opportunity for those departments to come in as well. Commissioner Summer-Adumas.
Thanks, Jeff, for such a thorough and detailed presentation. Of course, I have lots and lots of comments and questions. I won't do them all today because this was just, as you were saying, a draft, and it's also preliminary. And as you were saying, the budget is balanced, but we still have to make hard decisions as it relates to our individual initiatives and just as a commission board. So there's still very hard decisions that need to be made. And on one part, 2026 recommended uses, you had down, I just had a question about this, since the pages are not numbered. But it was $4 million for social services. And I was just wondering the difference between our levies that take care of social services and what our 4.0 million comes out of our budget. Can you explain that?
So, Commissioner, you're looking at the
2026 recommended uses.
in the graph on
Yes,
uses. So I can get you a full breakdown on that, Commissioner. Yeah, so there's 4 million, 1%. So there are a portion of that. There are some mandated matches that we have to make for things like TANF, et cetera. But there's some other things in there as well. So we can get you the full breakdown of all of it.
Okay, that would be great. We have also been using restricted funds more than I've ever seen us use. And if maybe I could get a summary or total or whatever of the restricted funds we've used this year and maybe even last year, that would be helpful for me. The bottom line is that we're going to have to take the icing off of the cake. Some of the things that we wanted to do, thought were great things to do, we may not be able to do those this year. And also my focus is to make sure that, and I see the increase that you're looking at for staff, my focus will be to maintain as many staff as we can, and you haven't said that we won't. But if that means a somewhat lower increase, a salary wage increase, I'm for that if it means that we can maintain our great staff that we have. The transfer fee, I'm not convinced about that right now. I know you're looking at creative ways to increase our general budget, but I'm not really for that right now. But also, as we look at shared, I'm jumping around trying to make it somewhat quick because I'm going to have much more from this big book that we have. But as we look at shared services, we're having a symposium coming up now, and it usually looks at infrastructure. But it came to me that some of the things that we do, other agencies, other companies are doing also, and maybe we could look at what these outside agencies are doing, and maybe there's one element or component of what we're doing and paying for that we might not necessarily have to because it's being repetitive, or we're doing the same things without communicating with the community. There was one other question I had. I'm glad that it looks balanced, but I'm looking at ARPA. We have to complete our use of that money, but there's some programs that we're going to have to just say we can't do anymore. You mentioned, but it wasn't in here. It's in this big book, but the large grants, the small grants, all those kinds of things that we thought were great things to do to enable those that were coming through the pandemic and to get people to come together and be more social and get out of the house. And that time is over. It's been almost it will be about 5 years. So we need to look at, I need to look at what our priorities are. And at this point, I think communities should be not self-sufficient because they're not getting their local government funding like they should, but they should not be as dependent on us to undergird the things that they want to do. So I'm going to be looking very closely at some of those programs that I just mentioned. I think that'll do it, but I may come up with something right here is what I was going to ask, but I couldn't find it. Jeff, on budget trends by function areas, and you have other functions. I was just wondering what the other functions could be, and you can give that to me too at the same time you give me the social service information.
Sure, we can give you the full breakdown.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Reese.
Hey, Jeff, thank you for the budget at first look. There are a couple things that in doing our budgets here versus other budgets that I've been involved with at city or state level, I like to see the buckets. I like to see outside of the buckets. So I always ask for that. I want to see line items because we just put a bucket and say this is going to be for this. But I'd like to see the line items because I want to see where we actually are spending the dollars, who's getting the contracts, where are those dollars coming from. I do want to make sure that whatever message we come with, it has to be consistent. We can't have a message of when it comes to the public, we are broke. We got to cut this, we got to cut that. But then when a big project comes, all of a sudden we can find the money. And we always say, it's in another pot. So I have asked for this. I like to see all pots, how much is in it, and what can it be used for. Maybe we didn't use it for something, but it can be used for something else. I think for me, that's better than handing me and saying, because right now, as the administrator, which is great, you've been here many, many years, and I've only been here now going on, I think this is only my 5th year out of a 285-year-old system. I don't know what's in every bank account. I don't even know what is all of our bank accounts. I get it when we have something and you say, well, wait a minute, we found something in this account. I got to see every account and what can the account be used for. I've been using my knowledge that I have had from being on the finance committee for the city and the finance committee for the state, but I need a full accounting of what is in every fund, how much we have, and what can that fund be used for. Now, maybe we only been using it for certain things for the last 200 plus years. But if I stayed with the 200 plus years, even us, we wouldn't, if we use the 200-year standard, we wouldn't be here as the elected officials, because 200 years ago, we couldn't have a chance. to be a county commissioner, let alone run for it. So I want to look at all funds. I appreciate this. This is a Cliff Note version of it. But I want to look at what's in each of the buckets and how much do we have. I found out about the earnings, interest earnings last year when there came up that we had a chance to get Sundance, and we had a similar report like you did today early on. We don't have the money, we got to cut over here, we got to cut over there. And at the last minute, when Sundance had a chance, and I support Sundance, all of a sudden we found $2 million in the earnings, interest earnings. I was supportive of FC. We were trying to get a women's soccer league. All three of us supported it. All of a sudden, after this report you gave like you gave today, we found $5 million. You said it's a one-time over in the interest earnings. Those have not been used. We did not get the women's soccer, and we did not get the Sundance. And in my book, that's $7 million that's left, carried over from the interest earnings that can be used for something else. And then on top of that, according to what you just said, I want to make sure I heard it correctly, we're looking at even having more interest earnings. So these are one-time things. So before I cut off the people, I want to look at every account we have. And for me, I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to choose the people. I'm going to choose them. Second thing I'd like to have is a chart on a percentage of our all county funds. That's everything. How much have we used in Cincinnati for these big projects? And then how much have we used for all the other municipalities? Because we now talk about, well, we got to cut the municipalities. They can't have no facade program, and we ain't got the money for them to do this and do that. But every time there's something big downtown, we seem to somehow say we just got to do it. Even on the buy of the Millennium is $50 million. And now we're going to put green space. And we still going to give it away. We're going to give away the programming. We're going to give away the liquor license. And we never did get the $50 million back. So I need a chart of how much of our money, whatever fund it is, has been going downtown Cincinnati. And then how much have we spent in Norwood? How much have we spent over in these other areas, Colerain Township? And how much have we spent out in Springfield Township? Because we're talking about cutting them out. The other thing is we have over 200,000 homeowners. Okay, on one side we say, oh, well, we can't do this. It's going to hurt everybody else. Then we come back, got a bingo deal. Well, we can't give them 30%. We can't just do it. And now it's recommended if you sell your home, we want some extra money. And we always put, oh, it's just $1. And I don't know how, I've been waiting on somebody that only had to pay an extra $1. So now we're talking real estate costs to sell your house. We want to charge you extra in this particular, we don't want to get a homeowners a break. And now even first-time buyers, your closing costs gonna go up because now we want to charge you. So on one hand, the big projects get a break. Don't have to pay taxes. We're gonna borrow against the taxpayers, borrow. We're gonna put them on the hook and we say, yay! And then you come in and then we say, man, it looks gloom and doom for the taxpayers. So I want to comb every account. It's bigger than just a few grant programs we have. Even with our grant programs, it's not as much as we've been spending on these big projects. I don't see nothing cutting parking. We've been giving away parking revenues. I don't see anything in here saying they're going to take a cut. And when do their contracts end? Their lifetime parking contracts were given away. We gave away the $50 billion over there where Millennium was. We ain't making one dime off of it. We done gave it away. No revenue coming in. So we got to look at these things that are not bringing in any revenues. And how do we not put it on the taxpayer? They can't take another hit. I'm telling you, these people, I'm running into them. They crying. So we can't just say, oh, let me throw my hands up. Can't help you. But then when the big stuff come in, oh, we can do it. 3CDC needs it and don't have to pay nothing. We can do it. So-and-so want to do something downtown. We can do it. Oh, you want something with the homeowner? Oh, no, y'all got to bear the brunt. We can't do it. So one, I want to get my messaging right because that's who we represent first and foremost, at least me. That's who voted for me. The taxpayers voted for me. And so I have to come in with a budget that includes them and includes all 49 municipalities. So I'd like to see what's the percentage, because I hear complaints all the time. You're giving all my money away downtown, and we ain't getting nothing. And in here, you're recommending even getting rid of the facade program. They can't even get their business district looking good. That's crazy. Small businesses, we never had an office of small business. We just got one. Most of the people are small businesses that need help, and we're cutting them down. Cutting them down. I don't see an increase in developer fees, but you want to increase on sales fees at closing costs. But then we said we want to promote home ownership. Then I want to find out, are there any, because I found at the last minute, he said, oh, we can pay for so-and-so because the right people made calls. Oh, we can pay for that. And we'll take that out of some developer fees that was due. I need to know, I didn't even know we had some developer fees that was sitting over there in a bucket. I need to know what developer fees are sitting around. I want to comb every single dollar available in Hamilton County. So those are just my high level. We'll be getting in once I can get those, get the actual line items. Who's getting the contracts? How much are the contracts? What are the contracts? When I understand how much is in the interest earnings, what happened to the 5 and the 2 million we voted on? That gives us 7 million that can go to something in my book, plus 7 million plus something new, because we're expecting, I guess you said 20 million. These are tough times. I'm glad to see that safety in here is funded. That is very important. Public safety is in here. And you have a lot of other things in here. So I'll be going into it by line item by line item. All these consultants we running around with, who are they? What are they doing? A lot of times they meet with us and then write a report. We met, never solved the problems. The other thing I'm going to say that, because all this is putting the brunt of the burden on the taxpayers. One, we want to, not we, I ain't going to say we because it ain't our board. One, there's a recommendation to go up on closing cost real estate fee. Two, there's a cut in investing in some of the infrastructures in these other areas, the facade program, et cetera. Three, there's cuts to small business, and that's where everybody going now. They got to be a small business almost to survive. Four, there's nothing in here that allows us to do the 30% property tax rollback for the homeowner. I don't care if it ain't nothing but $200. People need $200. That's $200 worth of groceries they can buy. They need the money. I'm listening to people. When we say, oh, it's nothing but $100, we can say it because we getting paid by the taxpayers. It ain't nothing but $100. The guy said, man, I need that $100 to buy my medicine. These things add up. The other thing is we are going into some of these projects that we have, and like I said, Millennium, we ain't getting nothing out of it. $50 million, and now we're going to have a free space to dance, and we don't even get the liquor license. They're going to get the sponsorships and the liquor license. We don't get anything. Nothing back for the taxpayers. And again, we want to see what's the percentage of these big projects downtown versus these projects because we represent cities, townships, and villages. And I don't want them to they get the least amount of money, and now they getting cut. They're at the bottom getting the money, and they're at the top of the line getting cut. So I would, for me, those are the things that I'm going to look at. It is a tough budget season, and Mr. Ludo, I want to say to you and your staff, thanks for bringing this to us. But like you said, things can change because we got a crazy system happening in Washington. So we don't know what's going to be where. And based on that, I commend the staff of trying to put something together. But once I get these line items, I'm sure I have a lot more questions. I'd like to see what can happen on the development side, if that is something that we need to look at and comb everything. I am supportive, though, of things that's going to bring in money. It's going to put, if we make our money from sales tax, property tax, add heads in the beds at the hotels. And if we can get something that's putting some heads and more heads in these beds, I'm going to support it. Now, if you ain't putting no heads in the beds, that's different. But if you're going to bring something and we're able to put heads in the beds and we're able to bring in out of town money, I'm interested in taking a good look at it. Because we do need things that will bring in revenue from outside people, not revenue on top of the people locally that's getting hammered already. So those are my at first glance. And like I said, when my team gets to go through these line items, I'm sure we'll have some other questions. And then we got to hear from the different departments. I'm sure they'll have something to say as well. So thank you.
Thank you. So I, too, want to thank the administration for bringing this forward. Staff, Jeff, you in particular, and John Brugan and Rob Wagner, and all the folks that work in our staff to make sure that we've got a balanced budget here every year. So I'm very grateful for those efforts. As you say, it's been a difficult time because revenues are relatively flat, and yes, the expenses increase. And I just want to get into that just a little bit. I am very grateful for the 3% raises across the board. The cost is over $4 million, but this is something we talked about when we had the sales tax increase a number of years ago. We talked about how we needed to recruit and retain people into this organization, unlike how we had operated in the past. Because when I got here in 2017, we were broke, and we hadn't paid people a raise in 4 years or 5 years. And people were leaving. They were very unhappy, and we couldn't recruit anybody to come to the county. And I understood it, right? If you're not going to get a raise for 5 years, you've got some trepidation. And so I think we have done a nice job of building the confidence of our employees back. We also talked about vacancy rates in certain departments that were critical to the safety of especially children in this community. Those positions over the caseworkers over at JFS, we were dangerously low in caseworkers, and now we are making some significant increases in those workers to decrease the caseload so that the kids are safer that are being served in this community. We increased communication workers, 911 workers, and we also increased the number of deputies over in the Justice Center and out on patrol. So we have done some of the things that we intended to do by way of stabilizing the organization in response to the needs in the community. And so I thought it was really important that we said we were going to do something, and here we are doing that something, but in a very restrictive environment where the revenues have gone up slightly. And so we're in a position to say, all right, we want to do all these things. Some of these are mandated services, some of them are not, and so what gives? And I recognize the challenge in that, and then it just becomes a matter of priorities. So as you say, there is an increase in this budget is slight by way of some of the revenue sources we've got, and that's challenging. I do want to point out that the sales tax has increased a little bit. The property tax, I hear a lot about how the county got this windfall because of the reevaluation on property taxes. That is clearly not the case. And so I just wanted to note that for folks that are watching to make sure that we're all talking apples to apples. And then you've included this transfer fee Now, this is an exit fee for people selling property in the county. It generates 4.7 million, which is significant related to what we're talking about here in this budget. I appreciate that 1 million of that goes to a housing fund that provides sustainable housing revenue that we could invest in CDF along with the city and the private side to continue to do the work in housing that we have started. Now, 1 million is not 40 million, or what we were able to do through ARPA, but it is an attempt for us to continue the momentum when it comes to housing in the community. So I appreciate the effort in you finding that. And then 3.7 of it goes right into the general fund, so we're using the rest of it for the nuts and bolts. So I think that creates a challenge for those of us that have trepidation about the transfer fee, and yet it's being baked into the budget here in a way that if we took it out, we'd have to find that money somewhere else, particularly 3.7. So that's something I will be looking at. I do appreciate the chart with the bar charts that Commissioner Dumas referenced. I think it would be helpful. I too would like to get, and it might be in this binder, but I would too like to get some of the breakdown, because when I look at public safety, clearly there's an increase year over year in the budget. The request was higher, but the year over year budget is also higher. And so it's less than the request, but higher than last year. The judicial, it's much harder to tell because it's so close. And I would love to have numbers associated with those bars so I can actually see what the increase or reduction is. And same with the other, the general government, and then the other functions as well, just so we can get a better sense of it, right? We all know the requests came in higher than the revenue we have available. What we don't completely understand is, has it increased or decreased year over year? And so that's something that I've asked the administrator for, and I would love to see that play out in this bar chart page as well, so that we can really better understand it, especially as the departments come in and talk about their budgets and their requests. We'll have some more context for that. I'm grateful also about the reserve. We talk about the reserve every year, and we need to be fiscal stewards of this budget and the county resources and the taxpayer dollars. And so we've got a adequate reserve here, and I'm grateful for that as well. So this to me is a budget of fundamentals. It addresses the fundamentals of the county and leaves little room for some of the other things that we do by way of these economic development projects. From my vantage point, with the revitalization grant in particular, this is a grant that it's about a partnership with the 49 jurisdictions in the county. And when you go out to these jurisdictions, and we've all gone through the ribbon cuttings or the groundbreakings, where we have contributed to these catalytic projects, whether it's in North Bend or Cheviot or Anderson Township or Montgomery or Lincoln Heights, we have invested in this community in a way that we did not used to do. And that was we were only able to do it because of the sales tax a number of years ago. And so we invested a little bit in economic development because we knew the communities were screaming for it, and we let them decide what's a catalytic project in your community, and you have funding in that project. It's a partnership, and then we come in with some gap funding near the end, competitive process. We know it's oversubscribed every year, and so we know there's a need for this out in all these jurisdictions, and we've significantly peeled back on that line here. And so I'm concerned about that. Not because it's something that the communities want, but rather something they need our partnership in to create these catalytic projects to bring in revenue. Because in the end, these grants, as some of the other grants, are meant to bring in revenue to the county. They're economic development grants. And so as the jurisdictions do better, so the county does better. And so while it feels good to offer these grants, it's also important to the economy of the county to continue to have these 49 jurisdictions thrive. And so I think that translates into many of the other things that were cut. I understand why they were cut. They are not mandated, but I think they have become critical to the partners, particularly the jurisdictions throughout the county, and some of our other economic development partners, including the Port, Alloy, Ready. We don't have our own economic development partner. We rely on the Port, Alloy, and Ready to do a lot of that work in Hamilton County on our behalf, and we invest in them in order to make that happen. We have reduced all those lines. And so I am concerned about those as well, because again, we're generating dollars into the coffers through the projects that are on the top of mind of these 3 development organizations that we partner with. So it's a real struggle. This balanced budget has created some struggles here. So I appreciate the effort that's gone into this. I know it's been very difficult. We heard that from the very beginning, and we had those 2 forums with the other department heads, with the other elected officials, to forewarn that it's going to be a challenging budget. And so the request came in $60 million higher than the revenues we had to be available, and that creates a really challenge for our staff to try to balance that budget. I'm glad that you did it. I'm grateful that you did it, but we're going to have to comb through some of this and see in the end where everything lands, because Administrator, as you say, this is a recommendation to the 3 of us, and then we will have to listen to the public, listen to the department heads and the other elected officials, and then finally make a decision in December related to a final budget. So I'm glad that we've started the process. I want to welcome people to participate in this process. If you're not able to come in, please send emails, please make phone calls. It's important to us that we hear from you. And so, and lastly, I've got all my tabs in my binder here. I note that the levies are included in this too. It always is important to help us kind of level set where we are with not only the general fund, but the levy funds. We're in some trouble here with the levies. And so if the levies aren't adequately funded, some of those responsibilities are mandated and will fall back to the general fund. And so that is something that we need to keep a close eye on. I'm very, very concerned about the levies and the conversations that are happening at the state level in particular related to property taxes. And we're going to find ourselves in real trouble if we're peeling back on the property taxes available for these levies, and then it has to be absorbed in this general fund, which is tight already. So all things terrible, but I appreciate you bringing it forward, Administrator Aludo. We'll continue to have this conversation. And thank you to my colleagues. We got some work to do, so we'll do it. When's our next, so we have, when's our first staff meeting where we've got either a department head or an elected official coming in related to the budget?
So, Commissioners, I believe, 1 second here.
Is it, I'm looking at Kevin time, aren't you? It's Wednesday.
Yes, I was going to say,
It's
next week is a Wednesday instead of, so it's the 12th, and we'll have departments starting to come in
Okay.
at that time, Commissioners.
All right, very good. So we've heard from some of them. Administrator, I'm sure you've heard from all of them. But we'll look forward to hearing those presentations. So more to come on the administrator's budget. All right, we've already gone through public comment, so we'll move on to comments and motions of the commissioners. Commissioner Summer, please.
Thank you. Just a few comments. I was reading where the City Planning Commission is meeting on the 7th for the name change from Mercy Health to Patricia McCollum Way over at our central campus. And so excited about that being confirmed so we can make that move and make it happen. And also, as we talked earlier, the county buildings will be green for the veterans. Veterans Awareness Week, we acknowledged them earlier in our agenda. So if you see the green buildings, that's why. And I also wanted to just once again thank Jeff and his staff for this detailed, thorough budget. I know, believe it was in 2021 when commissioners were asked to give $10,000 of their own personal money to help this budget be balanced, and I didn't hear that this time. I know Commissioner Driehaus and myself did, that we were a part of that. So hopefully we can balance this budget and maintain our staff and reevaluate some of the board policy initiatives. I really wanted to add, Jeff, that on your, I won't pull it out because we've already talked about that, but you said to establish the board policy or continue the board policies, and I think we need to reevaluate some of our board policy initiatives. And then I believe it's lastly, Generosity 513 program employs I wanted to highlight them because they're doing such great work in the community. And they employ 4 full-time outreach workers who provide assistance to our individuals in the street, regardless of their location, of mental state, sobriety, or housing. As I said, they only have 4 staff. They do great work, and their stats really impressed me from January to September. They've had 2,600 encounters, 542 referrals to social service agencies. Connections made for shelters was 22. Connections made to permanent housing was 97. Connections made for substance abuse services, 18. And connections made to other social service entities was 234. So I once again want to thank them for being out in the street, meeting the people where they are. Jeff, I know I'd asked about a billboard to be put up, just one billboard that will indicate whoever's on the street, here's a number you can call or a place you can go, and you're still working on that?
We're still following up with generosity.
Okay, thank you so much. I have several questions as it relates to the agenda and some of the agenda items. I will hold those once we go through.
Thank you. Commissioner Reese.
Thank you very much. Point of clarification, it was mentioned that the two of you gave some money from your taxpayer salary. I wasn't on the board then. I was in the private sector, struggling out here like everybody else, trying to make the ends meet. So I just don't want people to look and say, oh, why didn't one person do it? I wasn't here. I just got here on that. But
I think I said 21.
yeah, I just wanted to make people didn't know I wasn't here in 21. They think I've been here longer than I have, but I wasn't here. A couple things. One, we had an election. I want to congratulate throughout the county all those that ran and won. We've got everybody from school board members, city council, township trustees, the mayor race as well. Just want to congratulate all those who have won. I had a chance to go out to several election polls. I want to thank all the poll workers that worked for the Board of Elections that participated, and then all the volunteer poll workers that were out there, no matter what candidate you were out there for. I want to thank them as well, and as well as our Hamilton County Board of Elections in running a smooth election. I do want to indicate, though, that it's disappointing in terms of turnout. More people are turning off than turning on, and that is a big deal. That means that they don't see the hope of finding some type of solutions to the problems that they have in their own lives. So certainly encourage people to exercise their right to vote, but congratulations to everyone that won, and those who won. We're looking forward to working with you. There's some historic races throughout the county as well, so just wanted to highlight that. We did proclamations today, and one of the people, 2 of the people were not able to come today, but I will be delivering a proclamation to them on our behalf. They are twins. They're 70 years old. Iola Brown and her sister, Viola Brown and her sister Iola. They're twins. They're 70 years old. Miss Viola Brown is also on one of our boards dealing with seniors. So just wanted to congratulate them on turning 70 years young. So I will make sure that they get the proclamation signed by all of the commissioners. And I want to thank the commissioners for signing that. Also met with Artworks CEO, Colleen Houston. And she brings up something I think is important because it's noted in this budget. They hire youth for the summer. And my goal has always been, no matter what position I've been in, is that we must get our work program to the youth before the street program. And I want more and more young people working. And so you said in here, Mr. Ludo, that comes under the levy and that all of them will be evaluated. I think for me, before I can even have a final vote on it, I need to know where we're going to be with summer youth employment. I think that's huge. I don't think that's something that needs to be cut. I think we need to get more youth working in the summer, get them in the positive programs. And so I wanted to put that on it, but we just happened to meet, and she was meeting about our youth employment program, and she had some great things that youth have been able to do with artworks and, of course, a number of organizations. So that's very important. The other thing that I also delivered a proclamation on behalf of our board at the Black and White Cancer Ball. I want to thank Dr. Melvin and Mr. Aubrey that started it, and the Black and White Cancer Foundation group who started this. The place was packed. It was at the Sharonville Kavitcha Center. Now, the place being packed, it's good to see people because they're surviving, but the place being packed highlights again how many people are dealing with cancer, and the rates are going up in Hamilton County. And we've really got to work on that. And so I'm happy he's also part of the Cancer Caucus that we had last month, but it was a big affair, lots of people, and a lot of them marching in as survivors. So I was happy to give a proclamation on behalf of our board. In addition, the SNAP benefits is not over. It's not over. We called on the governor to get involved, and he gave $25 million. We were at zero, but he gave $25 million, and he gave $7 million to the food banks. I believe Freestore Food Bank, Kirk's told me that they got about 700,000 would be coming down here. I'm waiting to hear from Mr. Ludo in terms of how much we're going to get out of the $25 million. It cost us $19 million a month, so this to tell you how much it costs. The federal government, people heard that the judges ruled that SNAP has to be funded, but I understand they only going to partially fund it. So getting those numbers and how that's going to affect us down here. With that being said, the fight continues. Government workers still are being furloughed, although Friday they said some might be able to come back. With that being said, though, people are still in need. People still are affected. And so the 513 Relief Bus, one of the things I'd asked for the bus to get involved out there is one of our initiatives. And I'm happy they are able to do that. So the 513 Relief Bus Mobile Pantry and Food Distribution Initiative will be launched. It'll be launched on Monday. And I want to thank Lisa and Trevina and the whole crew. Yes, you're going to talk about it? Okay. We're launching it Monday. We'll be partnering with Lincoln Heights Missionary Baptist Church Pantry. We'll be pulling up. They will be also doing additional. They're going to do $300 gift cards for federal workers that show their IDs while it lasts. They're going to also give $150 gift cards as well. We're going to be there in our partnership to get food for about 100 people. And we're not talking about just these canned goods either. So we're excited about that to help. Veterans Day, we're not going to be out. Wednesday, the 12th, we'll be back out. We'll be at Whitewater Crossing, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. With the church there and partnering with their pantry. And we'll have food for 100 people. Then 4 to 7, we'll be at Agape Ministries, so people that are getting off work will have help there. The 13th, we'll be at ETAC Lighthouse Ministries, partnering with the Community Council in Evanston, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We'll have food there. Then we'll be Monday, the 17th, at the Word of Deliverance Ministries in Forest Park at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. with food that we're doing there. We'll be then on Tuesday, the 18th, at the Winton Hills Recreation, Food for the Soul from 2 to 6 p.m. with food there. Then we'll be Wednesday at New Hope Baptist Church, partnering with Pastor Jones at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then we're back at Agape Love Ministries from 4 to 7 that evening. And then on Thursday, the 20th, we're at Grace AME Church, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at their pantry with the 513 Relief Bus. And then Friday will be at Bethel Baptist Church, Bishop Dr. Brian Walker, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And so we're out trying to get the food out, and this will allow us, we'll be partnering with the Free Store Food Bank. This is in addition to the $200,000 that we have. This is funds that will only be for these, our mobile pantry initiative, and partnering these facilities also already partner with the Free Store Food Bank. They already giving out food. It'll help us give out more food, help more people. And many of these churches and facilities are also adding gift cards and other things and baskets, so we'll be able to hit as many people as possible. I do want to thank the 513 Relief Team to get this done in such a quick manner. I want to thank these churches and pantries, because they haven't just been pantries. They were like the first places that allowed us to pull our bus up, never charged us to pull the buses up, have been with us from the beginning of the 513 Relief Bus, and they have been very active on SNAP. In addition, it's important that Washington hears from the people. They've heard from us, the politicians, the elected officials, and that's great. But they got to hear directly from the people. And so people have asked, what can we do? We do have an online petition that people can hit and sign up, and we will be sending them to all the representatives in Washington. So just again, I just want to thank the county. We're moving and doing the best that we can with what we have. So those are my comments. I think I had one other that was brought up. I may save that one. I'll save that one to next time. Thank you.
Thank you. I've got a couple of things here. I represented the commission. Commissioner Summer Dumas was there at the Office of Reentry One Stop 5-year anniversary, recognition of Trevina and her team's work when it comes to the reentry work here in Hamilton County. So I was very pleased to be able to offer a proclamation on behalf of the 3 county commissioners. I also offered a proclamation at the Spirit of Deborah Leadership Awards. Karen Henry, who is the CEO and founder of the Leah Institute, has this. It's a program. It was on Sunday. It's her 3rd year, and we did a proclamation in honor of Sheila Mixon for her community work. And so I was honored to be invited to do that on behalf of the 3 of us to honor Sheila. Also went to the ribbon cutting down on close to 8th and State down in Lower Price Hill. This was one of the housing projects that we helped fund through CDF with the City of Cincinnati. Kiker Development was the developer on the project. Kai was there with his family and is extremely proud of the work that he and his team have done in Lower Price Hill, and it really is a fantastic project. We got to go through it, and it is part of the renovation and reclamation, really, of what's going on in Lower Price Hill. So big shout out to all the partners, including CDF, City of Cincinnati, Port Authority, whole cast of characters were there. Also went to a groundbreaking yesterday in Cheviot for the Central Station. This is the one that is going into the old Capitals building. I think we got very, very late notice on this one. They promised to give us more notice in the future so we can all attend. But I had an hour, so I ran out there, and they're pretty excited about this project. The mayor was there talking about how this is going to be an added venue in their entertainment district to draw people in, again, for economic development purposes, but also for community building. Commissioner Dumas, as you have mentioned earlier. And then I also wanted to talk a little bit about voting. Thanks to those who came out to vote, and especially thanks to those that were willing to run. It is not easy to run for election on either side of the aisle, and so I am very grateful for those that were willing to do that. Whether they won or lost is irrelevant. It takes people to step up to be part of the democracy and make things work. So very grateful for those individual candidates. Congratulations to those that won, and thanks you also, of course, to the voters for coming out. And then lastly, I wanted to talk a little bit about SNAP. The government shutdown persists, unfortunately, and so the challenges and the uncertainty remain. I ran over to the Free Store Food Bank yesterday. My team and I volunteered for a couple of hours and had the opportunity to talk to some of the people going through the line, many of whom are SNAP recipients and had to rely on the food bank this month for their food. And so we're talking about that and the strain it puts on people. You know, the line was constant. There was not a break at all in the 2 hours that we were there. And so hats off to the staff over at Free Store Food Bank for running that thing like a well-oiled machine, which it is. I'm glad that we were able to provide some additional funding to the Free Store Food Bank because they said they've seen increased numbers in the past few weeks and they look for that to continue through the holidays. So it's a very unfortunate situation, but you know we're doing what we can and just pleading with the federal government to get back to work, do what you're supposed to do, and start to provide the funding for those that need it the most down here in Hamilton County. So that's all I have. Administrator Aludo.
Thank you, Commissioners. I think I've spoken enough today, so I don't have any by-leave comments. There are 2 by-leave items on your agenda. The first one is a resolution appointing members to the DDS Services Board. So, Commissioner Dreehouse, I didn't know if you wanted to.
Yeah, happy to do that one. So, yeah, as you say, resolution reappointing members to the DD Board, Leisha Thrower and Tasha Faruqi. Commissioners, if there are no opposition to this, I'm going to move that we approve of by-leave number 1.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you. And thanks to those that are willing
ahead
to.
of you,
Yeah, that's right. You're anxious to approve. It's good. All right, Jeff. and then-
Thank you, Commissioners. By-leave number 2, this is a budget adjustment related to some capital work in the county. Specifically, the board is aware of the elevator issues that we are facing in multiple buildings. So there's dollars here for capital work for our elevators at 800 Broadway, the courthouse, and the Taft Center, as well as the Taft Center chiller, as well as some laptops for the Court of Appeals, which we don't typically do in capital, but because it is such a the Court of Appeals is so small, this is a significant portion of their budget. We're doing it as a capital item. So that is by-leave 2, Commissioners. I recommend approval.
Thank you. Yeah, glad to see that we're addressing some of the elevator issues. It's terribly expensive, but necessary. So particularly related to accessibility. So glad that's on there. Commissioner Summer Dumas, any comments or questions?
When I was there Friday for the reentry thing, there was a court staff person who was complaining about the elevator. So I have to make sure
There you go.
call her and let her know how quick I work.
It's very impressive.
Yes, that's all.
Commissioner Reese.
Nothing for it.
All right,
Thank
I'm
you.
going to make a motion that we approve of by-leave number 2.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves?
Yes.
Thank you.
No further by-leaves, Commissioners.
All right, we do have one other resolution. It's number 3, reappointing one member to the Downtown Cincinnati Special Improvement District. Harry Blanton, there you are. He is in the room. So thank you, Harry, for being willing to continue your service here. I would like to offer a motion to approve of consent agenda 3.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves?
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks, Harry. I didn't want to keep you any longer than necessary. All right, let's go then to the consent agenda.
Thank you, Commissioners. Consent agenda starts at item number 1 on your agenda. This is board authorization for a bond issuance related to improvements at Paycor Stadium. So this would be the first tranche of an issuance for the capital renovation program at Paycor for $207 million. This is John Bergen and his team are working on this right now. The plan is to sell those bonds on November 20th. So this, as the board is aware, is just the resolution of approval authorizing that issuance. Item number 2, Commissioners, is a budget adjustment, general fund budget adjustment for planning and development, $185,000 for a supplemental for staffing, well as additional funding for fuel. There's also a $4.1 million adjustment for the sheriff. We talked about this during the budget session. as well as a supplemental for developmental disability services. The total supplemental is $8.53 million. Item number 3, we had just taken care of. Item number 4 is a resolution authorizing an agreement with the Freestore Food Bank at $222,954. This is the agreement that the board had approved in reallocating ARPA dollars for the Freestore Food Bank in light of the SNAP situation with the federal government. Item number 5 is authorization to execute an agreement with Davies Engineering. This is for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing services, routine mechanical, electrical, and plumbing services needed by stadia and parking. Item number 6 is acceptance of a credit card charge with Fifth Third Bank through the Veteran Services Commission in the amount of $288.62. Item number 7 is the authorization of a then and now between the Veteran Services Commission and Studio Z Films at $4,500. Item number 8 is an agreement between Hamilton County and business product groups for $100,317. This is facilities workflow software that they license every year. It's a product called Archibus that facilities has been using for years related to their work order and the workflow system. They've been with them for a long period of time. This is the first time I think that agreement is over $100,000 just because of the natural progression of inflation. So that's why the board is seeing that. Item number 9 is the award of an agreement with SA Caminal for fire sprinkler testing and inspection services, $99,552. Item number 10 is the grant of an easement for new electric service at the Regional Safety Complex with Duke Energy. Item number 11 is these are job and family services items. This is an agreement with the Habilitation Center, LLC, doing business as Mill Creek of Arkansas for residential treatment services, $927,000. Item number 12 is an agreement with the Habilitation Centers, LLC, doing business as Little Creek Behavioral Health for residential treatment services, $200,000. Item 13 is an agreement with Hope for Tomorrow Counseling and Treatment Center for group home services, $876,000. Item number 14 is an agreement with the Adriel School for resource family placement services for $100,000. And item number 15 is a renewal of an agreement with New Path Family Solutions for independent living services, $1.4 million. The total of those JFS items was $3.5 million. And finally, Commissioners, item number 16 is a request for travel at the county's expense. This is the treasurer, one employee to Columbus, Ohio. And that is your consent agenda, Commissioners.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank John Nelson for sending over an email related to item number 11. It was very helpful to get that background before we vote on this today, so I'm very grateful for that. And as we see some of these things roll through related to different departments and some of the spending, and as we've just talked about the budget, I will be interested in having conversations with the sheriff, with the VSC, with others to talk about their budgets, their spending, and what their thoughts are related to some of the things that we pass week after week, but it'll be good to get them into here to get further explanation on some of these items. Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Thank you. Item 6, which was a late fee on credit cards, $288. Well, that's a drop in the bucket or pennies for our budget. I keep seeing late fees on credit cards, and let's stop having late fees. I don't know what the problem is and why, it adds up every time we have 2 or 3 that have late fees. So I'll move on to the more critical issue for me is item 11 and 12. John, if you could come up. As it relates to placement, that memo was solicited by myself because I'm truly troubled by these 2 placements which are in Arkansas. And it's always focused on how JFS is trying to keep our kids close, and that's great. And sometimes you can't do that. I'm a social worker myself, and I know how that is. And oftentimes there are sole providers who can only provide residential treatment for these young people. I know John said in the memo it's 2 to 3 children we're talking about now. And sometimes they have relatives in that area. But I am deeply concerned about sending our babies to Arkansas. Nothing against Arkansas, but and to get that additional information was helpful. But I would like to have seen, what did you do? Not you. What did you do? Who did you try first and second? And this was our last resort. And I certainly don't want us, because as we were saying, the prices are going up, providers are going up, that we look at maybe this is not as expensive, and so we can send it there. I know we have a long record with them. My understanding from what I read, some agreement with them, but just you didn't indicate that they had relatives there or anything like that, and to send the babies that far away for residential treatment is really upsetting to me. And so I'd let you speak to it.
Yeah, Commissioner, these are 3 kiddos that have very, very specific needs, and we exhausted every option that we could find close to home before we even considered sending them out of state. There's a lot of mental health issues related with the kiddos that we're talking about here. In addition to that, they also have special educational needs as well, which I think our facilities are not able to provide here. So based on that, based on the educational needs and the 504 behavioral plans that are in place for the kids, it was needed to send them to a facility. And also, not to go into a lot of the details, but a lot of behavioral facilities are staff secure versus building secure. So sometimes kiddos need to be in a building secure facility where, especially if they're at a higher risk for AWOLs, where they are exiting the building and putting themselves at higher risk. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of building secure facilities that we've got in Ohio. So if there are kids that are at a higher risk where they are running away from facilities and it's not staff secure, it's only staff secure, and we need a building secure facility, at that point in time, the pool that we have to pull from within the state of Ohio is a lot smaller. And that's when we have to start looking out of state as well, especially with a lot of our kiddos that might be at higher risk for sex trafficking as well. This becomes a real concern. If they're able to exit the building, then they really are at harm's way at that point in time. So we try to be very sensitive to that, Commissioner.
So where are these children located right now?
So they are already in these facilities.
So they're already there? What are we doing then? Just approving the money?
So oftentimes, Commissioner, what happens is when we get kiddos into our care, they might be already, we try to find them the quickest placement possible, because otherwise they are in a place where they might not necessarily have the facilities that they need. So in this case, and there's possibility, and Laura's on the call, and she might be able to chime in on this. And this might be a possibility where these kiddos have been in this facility long term as well. Beyond 2025, they might be here for a few years. And this is just a continuation of those contracts as well. But oftentimes we will find placements when we have to absolutely find placements, and then negotiate those rates and things like that as part of the process as well. I don't know if Laura had anything to add to that.
They've been there. How long have they been there?
Commissioner, I don't have that detail, but I can find out and let you know.
We can put Laura on.
Yeah.
Laura? Hello, Laura.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. How long
Okay,
has
great.
is it
Great.
is it 2 or 3 children we're talking about?
There's 3 kids at the 2 different locations.
Okay.
And how long have they been placed there? Again, I don't know, but I will look into it and I will get the information to your office. I will let everybody know.
Yeah, Commissioner, we have some firewalls just to protect the privacy of the kids. So Laura and I only know information that we absolutely need to know. A lot of our actual clinical practice people are the ones who have the details with respect to how long the kids are, even the names of the kids and things like that, all those additional details. So I'll be able to get in touch with our clinical people and get that information as to how long they've been in that facility for you.
Yes. I did want to add to Commissioner Dumas that we issued an RFP earlier this year, and we try to have as inclusive of a network as possible because of the variety of needs that our young people have. And these 2 providers did respond to that RFP for that purpose to be included on our network. And in working with our placement department, we know that our first choice is local, in Hamilton County, within the state of Ohio, and then we look externally. These placements are, as John described, set up to really specifically address children with high acuity needs. And again, the security of the facility is so important, particularly with our kiddos that do run.
Well, I won't belabor it, but when you talk about what you know about the kids, and I understand all the confidentiality issues, but so I would want to know, and you don't have to say it now, with the plan of care. Like, for instance, if they're in Arkansas, how often do our people go out? Because I know sometimes our people go out to visit, and so you don't have to go through all that now, but the fact that they're already there changes my perspective of what my vote would be. Because, and I understand what you're saying, Ohio doesn't have everything, but you went a long way from Ohio. You miss surrounding areas, Michigan, Indiana, whatever, to get to Arkansas. And so, and I would not have known this if I didn't do a deep dive. So Laura, I just need to know, as I've said before, about placing children close. And I used to get that, but as far as Arkansas, I had no idea until I went into the information on the website. But normally, you or somebody from JFS would let me know that it was out of state or whatever. So
yeah, it is included on the synopsis where they're located.
Yeah, and the synopsis didn't come this time.
Oh, my apologies.
So anyway, I'll leave it at that. Let me see what. Thanks.
Commissioner, I'll just add quickly to that. Apologies on the delayed synopsis. We'll try to get that to you earlier. But our caseworkers do visit all of our kiddos at least once a month. So we get the caseworkers out just to make sure the kids are doing okay in their facilities.
Okay, very good. I'm trying to see, did I have 13, item 13, they're in Columbus, 14, Ville Fontaine, and 15 right here on Reading Road. So I believe that's all I have, Madam President.
Thank you. Commissioner Reese.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Commissioner Dumas, for those questions, because you're right, the deep dive, and then they're going monthly. I think we approved travel, and I don't remember seeing it, but just kind of putting it all together, like you said, and you have been on this issue about keeping them closer. So thank you, and thank you for the report, John, that we got from that. The one item that I have is item number 4, and I want to reiterate, I know we had passed the concept, and so today we're authorizing the actual $222,954.66. In addition to that, when we said we were going to do what we could do, I want to thank Holly and administration for trying to find, because our things was can we find ARPA money that we can move right now? And so we were able to move quickly with the 700,000 plus that'll be coming from the state, according with Kirk told me from the executive order of 7 million, that'll make us almost close to $1 million that we infuse, although we still need a lot more. But I just want to say that moved quickly from Tuesday for us to be able to have something moving last Thursday and then today moving forward. The other thing I tried to get Jackie to catch her before she left, but I do want to acknowledge Arlene, and I want to acknowledge Scott. Arlene was in here. I wanted to acknowledge them as well with the 513 relief team because you guys moved very quickly along with Lisa and Trevina for what we're going to do in addition. So this is a $222,000 that's going just to Free Store Food Bank. But in addition, we have an account there that these pantries already have. We'll be able to do a $2,000 credit per stop to get us food for an additional 100 people with the mobile 513 relief bus. And so I want to thank the 513 relief team and working with the Free Store Food Bank quickly and working with these pantries so we can move and kick off on Monday. And then I also want to thank Bishop Dr. Brian Walker. I forgot to thank him because I did get a chance to be at their pantry on Friday, and there were tons of people there. Walnut Hills is a food desert already, and there were tons of people there trying to get to the pantry more than usual because of the SNAP situation. So I'm glad we're going to be able to go back there, and I want to thank him along with those who stood with us saying that SNAP does impact Pastor Jones as well as several pastors, but also the NAACP, the Prince Hall Masons and Shriners as well. And they have a basket giveaway that they're going to be doing as well with over 850 baskets. So just wanted to acknowledge those. I forgot to acknowledge earlier of just everybody in the community trying to come together and help. I've been stopped by people who want to sponsor gift cards, so I've connected them with Lisa. Just people want to try to do what they can. Because when you start talking about people having something to eat, you're getting down to the core. So just wanted to acknowledge them and happy to support that item. That's it.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to make a motion. Yeah, yes, ma'am?
Excuse me. While John is still here, if I could just ask a quick question. You don't have to give it to me now. I would like to know the age of the 3 children we're talking about and how long they've been at those facilities.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. That's all.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion that we approve of items 1 and 2, and then items 4 through 16.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Thank you. There's nothing else before us. I'm going to make a motion to adjourn.
Yes.
You have to second it.
Second.
Another anxious.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Thank you.